Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Or are they accepted as,
I have no adjustments. I'd just like to make a statement that there's a lot of stuff in there. If we get going too fast, or if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. Don't vote without knowing what you're doing. So, we're gonna cover a lot of big items.
we'll let you keep the face. Thank you. Motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Oh, I make a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Did we do that? No, I didn't think so.
I'll
We don't do
support that.
We're doing it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Announcements or public comment. Anybody like the floor for a couple of minutes?
I have a
Please
problem.
step up to the speaker microphone.
You done? Okay. I'm over on Hosmer, major water issue, and this has been going on since 2014. You were at my house before with the church elevated in the back. I put the pole barn up, you and Hal, and couldn't find the drain, it was junk. So, you guys agreed last year to drop me a basin in, so I can, that don't look good. I can tie into a drain in my property, and the Nativity Lutheran can tie into it. Well, come May of this year, I talked to Matt, he basically blew me off, you got 2 jobs ahead of it, blah, blah, blah. So, I got a hold of Don. You showed up on June 20th, 21st, saying the end of July, let it dry up, and we'll drop it in. Well, I wanna know, is this gonna happen? We got a lot of work ahead of us to tie into this.
It's still, there's still a work order to get it done, so, but the church is not to tie into it, it's just to drain the road. And then-
Okay, they can't tie into it? That's where the major water problem
They
is.
have to fix their own issues.
They don't have nothing to tie into. There is no drains around
I
there.
think they had a drain in their backyard. that they tied.
No, that field's been underwater since May.
But anyway, the drain we're gonna, catch basin we're gonna put in will drain Hosmer
Drain my property, I can
Well,
tie.
you can tie into it, it's the
She needs
drain.
to-
But
give us
what
her
about
name.
everything coming off?
Well,
it-
I got pictures, it's
Well,
ridiculous.
it'll run into it, the surface water's gonna run into that drain anyway.
Can't listen on both
So run in- the surface water that goes in the
This drain that we're dropping down in the basement, in the corner.
We're not gonna hit that.
No, they wanna redo theirs. What they tried doing is running it out to that field, and that's been underwater since May.
But yeah, there's still a work order, we're gonna get it done, we just had some other issues that could surprise us, but it'll be done before.
Before fall. Fall is in what, September? Okay, cause I lost that garage floor. I already got a quote for $12,000 to tear out and replace. Now I have to get rid of this water issue before I can move on. So, and like I said, this has been going on since 2014.
Can I get you to give us your name and address here, please?
Okay,
For the
yes.
record.
I have pictures if you guys wanna see what happens when it rains, it's ridiculous.
I've seen it.
Yeah. You know, and I've been patient. I've been patient for so long. Now I wanna retire and this is gonna cost me money
I
to
can't.
get my problems resolved.
And your name is?
Julie LaFrance. I'm at 602 West Hosmer, right at the dead end of Sanderson. I mean, we've got a lot of rain this year, but for 48 hours, I pumped out to the road with a 5/8 hose. It's ridiculous, so by fall. And you're saying Mitch and them can't tie into this?
Well, the church, it can't really tie into it, they got, as far as we know, they have a.
There is no drain out there. You guys, Brian, you guys have already been through that whole thing. City sewer, everybody.
But anyway, we're gonna run a tile and a catch basin and drain the road right away, and then we can tie into that
Okay,
to take care of your water issue.
well then can I run a little drain ditch along the backside of that pole barn?
That's your private property.
Okay, then I'm gonna do that. Like I said,
It's
I'm losing
We're just
everything.
gonna drain the road right away, and then they'll give you access to a drain.
Okay, cause your road's junk too, you know? It's just,
Thank you, Julie.
yeah.
Anybody else? No one else? Moving forward. Brian Wendling, Saginaw County Drain Commissioner.
Well, I guess, you want me to introduce Brian and kind of talk about what we're here for?
Sounds good idea.
Okay. As you recall, last meeting, we were talking about stormwater. We were talking about the Saw Grant project and how the St. Charles tile drain that runs along Chestnut Street is in very, very poor shape. Because it is not a village asset, the village really can't do anything with it. It is a county drain, so Brian is here to talk about what steps the village needs to take to get that county drain fixed and addressed.
Is this a proposal so that to keep my basement from being underwater every time it rains? I'm on Chestnut Street.
Oh, no, this
And
is,
where it normally floods is
Yep.
right in front of my house.
this is
Oh, we
just,
don't need to do it
this
this
is,
way.
this is just to get the ball rolling.
Not a problem.
So if the village wants to proceed with a drain project in that area, it needs to go through Brian's office. So Brian volunteered to come here tonight to answer any of your questions and kind of talk about the drain code. So,
I'd like to thank him for his braveness.
Looks like a pretty polite crowd. I appreciate the opportunity. As John said, John made me aware of the fact that through the course of the Saw Grant process, that there were some issues identified with the St. Charles tile drain that runs up and down Chestnut Street out west of the river. We had some level of communication back and forth in terms of its condition, what can and can't be done, or what authority my office would have to try to do anything with its current condition. Unfortunately, under the current statute that my office operates under, we're very limited to what we can do in terms of maintenance and how we go about that, specifically with a tile drain. Open ditch gives us a little bit more flexibility. But when we get into tile system, we're pretty restricted. Short answer is in the tile system, we're able to go in and repair a broken tile, a sinkhole, some sort of a collapse, or maybe a failed catch basin. Maybe add a structure here and there to try to pick up a pocket of water that maybe isn't draining properly or getting to the system. Beyond that, when we start getting into a system such as this, constructed in 1930. We were approximately 90 years old. Probably don't have to say too much in terms of what you can imagine in terms of its condition. It's deteriorated. It's well beyond its useful life. Functioning yet, to some degree, but certainly not like it should or could be. There was a pump station on the end of it, which is a little bit concerning to me in terms of how it was set up. It was a county drain, owned and operated by, I guess by my system, owned by the drainage district. The pump station on the end of it is owned and operated by the village. So, although that's much appreciated, and I'm sure it provides a wonderful service for the community when the river's level is up and it doesn't allow this drain to gravity drain out, it's a little bit concerning to me that we really have two different entities trying to own and operate and manage the same system. It creates some level of issue. Good news is you've got some good folks here, you have for many, many years, and it's operated and functioned very well. So that's very much appreciated, not only by my office, but I'm sure the residents of the community. That's something I would, long-term, like to see addressed. I'd like to see that as one system owned and operated by one entity. So, short answer with all of this is that in order to be able to make any type of improvement on the system out there now, it would require a petition by somebody to my office asking for or consideration to have improvements made to the system. That petition could come from a few different entities, actually probably just two in this particular case. That would be residents of the drainage district or this council. And once that petition is received by my office, we would go through the formal processes of some hearings or the first being board of determination to determine necessity. If it were determined necessary at that point in time, that board would sign an order directing me kind of as an agent for the drainage district, to pursue a project that would address whatever needs had been brought forth at that public hearing, and then obviously at the most minimal economical cost for the community and residents. Drain projects are always paid for by special assessment. There are no county funds, or state funds for that matter, that pay for county drains. Every drain out there has a drainage district established. That drainage district entails all of the properties, including road or public infrastructure, that utilize it or benefit from it. So part of the process that that we would go through would be establishing or redelineating a drainage district. There's currently one out there, established way back in 1930. As you can imagine, it's...
Do you know how big it is? The current district?
I don't, right off the top of my head, Dennis, and I don't know what this is gonna tell me either. No, this is gonna tell me. It's the better half of the east side over there anyway. The drain's approximately a mile long, runs south of the beer line property, down Chestnut, and then turns west, comes west over to, I think it's, is it Flint Street? I don't know if the street's it. So that's the first thing we would do, is redelineate a drainage district based on what's currently out there. As you can imagine, since 1930, a lot of things have changed. Streets have added a lot of homes, a lot of businesses and whatnot out there that have probably changed the original drainage district. So we look at that, what's current, we look at what we may want to look at in the future. And that's where you folks would come in, and your staff. You know, where do we want this thing to land long-term? What would we like it to service, and at what level? And from there, we'd go into a design process. And again, whatever that drainage district came out to be, are the folks then that would help in paying for any type of a project, along with, in this case, the village, maybe a little bit of the county. There may be some of Chestnut Street as you get outside the village that might drain into that, based on its current status. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. It's I'll tell you, at a minimum, from the point in time that my office receives the petition, at a bare minimum, right now, we're probably looking at 2 years before you can start construction. As a rule, it's 18 months. I was just telling Dan here that because of the spring that we've had and the year that we've had, my office has literally been inundated with petitions. So we're a little bit behind. We're doing the best we can with them, but it certainly is a long process, just a little bit. So that's in a nutshell. We have to entertain any questions anybody might have.
I have a question. You, in the middle, you said about where we have the dikes built for the flood mitigation program. That's where that hookup is you're talking about that you're not crazy about?
Yeah.
That pump station? Now that drain then goes from there all the way out to beyond our village limits, is what I'm getting from what you're saying. That's, no, we've had a lot of problems with that over the years, and
Right.
are we supposed to like, ever, clean it out? Or do you do that?
So my office can do that. As I understand it.
What do you think about us doing it?
I don't have any real objection to it.
Because I think we did.
I think it was done through the software. Yeah. I think it was done as part of the software process. And John and I-
No. This
Oh,
was
prior to that?
a while ago. I think we did clean it out.
It's been cleaned and prepared several times.
Is it?
We did. Would it be better for us if they would give us that drain?
Is that
Would
an
you ever
option?
give up a drain?
It can be done, yes.
I mean, I know it's really old, and I'm not sure we want it. I want to talk to Don first, but.
So there's, I'm hesitating here a bit because that's just the opposite of what most communities are trying to do.
I know, it's just something that popped into my head.
Yeah, no, and fair question.
Because at the other end, there's something you don't like that we do like, and that's that pump station.
Don't misunderstand what I'm saying.
Okay.
I like it in the sense that it needs to be there, and I fully understand why it's
Okay,
there.
okay.
What I don't like is it being owned and operated by one entity and then the drain owned and
Do you want us to
operated
give
by
you
another.
the pump station?
That's an option. That has,
How often do you fix it?
we would be there on a very regular basis. We've got 10 other pump stations throughout the country.
Okay,
so we're
like
very
that?
accustomed to-
You don't want all the pump stations, do you?
If they're on the end of the county drain, I'd be happy to talk to them.
Okay. Okay,
Um,
thought I was on something there for a
No,
minute.
it's, No, and those,
try.
truthfully, that's the direction most communities are going.
Okay.
They want to relieve themselves of the responsibility of the drainage system and get it into somebody else's hands.
What do you think, Don?
I think it needs addressed, I'm not sure which way we would go about
Which way
it.
we'd go?
So,
Well, the other problem is there are some county or township people that probably drain into that, and
No.
I think there would be.
I think there's probably gonna be some of the roadway may drain into it a little bit. The one thing that I would,
It kinda depends on how far out it goes before it turns and goes over to Car Road.
yeah, it's just south of the,
Like the
Rear-
limit
rear
rear
signs.
line, just the water tower over there,
Mhm.
just,
Yeah.
like a one lot south of the water tower.
Okay, so there's not many township people that would drain into it.
Don, that's the same one that runs past the front of my place,
Right,
it shoots
yeah.
up in the air all the
Well,
time?
that drain is tied to it, yeah.
That's what?
Your catch basin is tied to that drain.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all interconnected.
I can
The
sit out there
reason-
and have a phone every rains.
The reason that most communities are trying to turn things over to a county drain as opposed to taking them on is that if the community owns it, it's yours. 100%
Yeah.
of the maintenance, 100% cost, 100% of future costs of replacement. Whereas with, and the only means of paying for that currently are through your general fund obligations. If it's a county drain, you know, this becomes then part of my job in terms of how it gets paid for. And then, you know, all of those folks that are using it and benefiting from it help support those costs.
Well, I guess
And,
I'd rather they be mad at you than us, so.
And I'm not here lobbying for it, I mean, it
Yeah,
is a county
yeah.
drain now. I've got 1,200 of them, I've got enough, I don't need any more, or.
Well, I think on the other side, there's one between Hanchett Street and, Cole, that's a county drain too, isn't it? But that's an open ditch.
Yeah, it's open.
Is it the open one? Yeah. Cause that's where we were gonna originally put the water tower until we found out it was undermined and would sink.
Okay.
So we moved it over to the other place.
The one issue, I think, with the county drain is when you petition, go through the board of determination, they determine it needs it. You go with, no matter what the price comes in, if that project's on a go, pretty much.
Pretty much, yes. At that point in time, the only thing that would stop it would it be if it were deemed unaffordable. And, you know, unaffordable, so there's a lot of parameters to unaffordable.
Okay.
You know, we build a project, we can finance it out to 20 years. So, you know, that's where a lot of questions come into play. What is unaffordable? Is it the total cost that's unaffordable? Is it a annual cost, or is it, you know, a monthly cost, and how do you, so we try to work into that backwards and ensure, you know, that we're not here to hurt anybody.
Okay.
What we wanna do is try to make sure everybody stays dry and has good drainage, good roads, those types of things. We're not here to run anybody out of their homes. But as a general rule, to answer your question, is they will typically go, yes. I have had to pull the plug in one, just because it was just way too expensive.
Not worth it.
Well, with us, we can get an estimate to do something and spend some money feeling that out, where he has to have that
Yeah.
approval to go so he can assess it, and
Well, if
so then it.
I think we just borrowed a truck from Chesaning and did some work with it, if I remember right. One of
20-some
those.
years ago, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it was a while ago, yeah.
That was when they found those roots and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah, we took them out. So it did help, it helped down there
For a while.
for a while.
So I think the real issue here is, probably the thing I want to impress upon everybody before I leave here, is that in its current status, there's really not much of anything that I can do with it any longer. And, I mean, if it plugs up, we can come out and we can try to get it opened, but with the understanding that it's a Band-Aid. And, you know, it might be a 1-week Band-Aid, it might be a year, but it's gonna be a very, very short-term fix. Long-term, we're pretty well strapped right now until we get a petition and we look at a larger, long-term capital improvement type project.
Now, do you look at the railroad bed as a natural dike that wouldn't cause drainage to come up over into that drain? Or would you pick up all of that farmland out there?
No, I don't think the drainage district crosses the
Okay.
railroad grade. I
Okay.
believe that is the district line.
Okay.
Yep,
No,
so-
I found out one thing tonight. They don't have any money.
Nope, and that's
Oh,
bad.
They do a
Thanks for
project.
coming. Yeah, thanks for coming.
What's new?
No, my office is funded through the county, but all of our activities and work is 100% funded by the drainage districts that we're working with.
Okay. Thank you, that's good to know.
Welcome.
Any questions? Don?
I think we all know what condition it's in, it's what can we afford to do with it. That's where we're at.
Brian, appreciate you coming and sharing.
Sure. Anytime.
Next time, bring a bigger wallet.
See if I can find that before the next meeting. All right.
Thank
We're good.
Thank
you very
All
much.
right, take care. You bet.
Stay safe.
Do we need to do anything on that, please? No. Yeah, just to find out.
So we're neither better.
Mr. Spicer report.
Okay.
Well, we won't pay for it.
But I mean, we right now.
Well, good evening. I think you have a copy of my report. Pretty thick report this month.
One
So,
page?
I do have some good news for you.
There was
On
good
the-
news in here, actually.
On the water system asset management plan that was submitted in 2017, we got a letter from Eagle, which is the former DEQ, that approved your water system asset management plan.
You saw that.
So-
Yeah, I saw that.
So that is great news. A lot of communities are not getting it approved because there's little things missing from their asset management plan. Yours is approved, and we're ready to move on to the next step, which is your preliminary distribution system materials inventory, which is due January 1, which we've been talking about and we're already working on.
Great.
So,
Eagle, that's what it's called now, huh?
Eagle,
EGLE.
Yep.
Okay.
Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
The other good news we have is on your wastewater lagoon discharge, they approved your permit application, and you are all set now.
Yep,
You
thank
are
you.
you are all set until 2024 with 82 million gallons per year discharge limits.
I wrote good.
Yep. that
Thank
is-
you.
That is the best possible thing that could have come out of that.
Yep.
So that's really good news. Backing up a little bit, your wastewater asset management plan, the SAW grant, we need to have that turned in to Eagle now, have that turned in November 2019. Between now and then, we need to have, the rate structure approved. We need to have, we need to move forward. One thing we're kind of recommending is, we've been looking at the rate structure number 2 that John Kazor from Municipal Analytics submitted. We've been kind of looking at that. If you have more questions, we can certainly ask him to come in and answer questions in September. If you're ready to do something with it, you could do it anytime. But we are getting tight. Your October meeting would be the very last opportunity we have to do something, with it before it's due in November. So.
I liked your proposal there where you said have him come, in September and then make a decision in October.
That would be, that would be the very,
That's the
I would
very
like him to
the
last.
come
very
in
last
September and
last
we can-
thing to do.
Decision in September.
So,
I would like him to come in September and make a decision in September.
I would too.
okay,
But you know what he needs to come with? He needs to come with the thing that says, cause aren't we're flipping stuff around, right? We're gonna base the sewer on a different thing
Yeah.
and that's what I don't quite have, down. I haven't seen it really in front of me.
So you wanna look at the schedule of
The
the
charges.
different rates per meter size?
Yeah,
Right.
just, yeah,
Okay.
and what, and how they're gonna charge out sewer
Yep,
and the water ready to serve, what that
Okay.
changes and all that
What his
stuff.
recommendations were.
Okay.
Yeah.
And something that's in large enough print to read.
I was gonna say, I think it's there if it was big
I
enough
think
to
it
read.
is.
I
Too,
can't-
but-
But it's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I can't read that.
Yeah.
So I
I did
focus on
keep
flipping
it.
it.
so if I'm not mistaken, you were leaning towards that scenario number 2.
Number 2.
We just want a little bit more detail
Right.
on the rate schedule,
Right.
and then we wanna have a short presentation and then, make a
We'll
decision
make a
possibly in
decision. But I
September.
think we can, we're ready to make a decision.
I think we are.
Yeah.
I-
You're
I
never
don't see
ready.
why dragging it out
I'm
anymore.
ready.
We need
Okay.
to do this.
The,
Everybody's ready but Diane, so
The,
it's okay.
the,
That's not
new
good.
increase
No,
in the
just-
Saginaw rates is kicking in September,
Right.
so.
Okay, our Mars minus well too, well, is it
The
in here
limit.
somewhere? Did you bury it in here somewhere? Did you approve it tonight?
Yeah, I did, but. I guess you're not here.
Where is
I
it?
thought I saw it in there somewhere.
It's
I
not,
didn't see
it
that.
doesn't say it in there, but it's with this other stuff you may
Okay.
want to.
It's implied.
Well, if you can explain to me what it's gonna be, I'd look at it, but, I
I
know
want
she
you
won't.
comfortable.
She
I want
won't.
you comfortable.
I think the
She's,
point at you,
she's
but
just
she's,
purely not, no.
she's not gonna be ready tonight, so, let's do it for September.
Okay.
Okay.
If you do look at, the scenario number 2,
No,
there is a schedule on the bottom here that would be what the charges would be,
It's all there.
and by
It's
meter
hard to
size.
read.
It is hard to read, it's small print.
well, no, I can read it, but like, then is this much per unit of water?
Yes.
Okay. Minimum?
I think it's every 5 units.
Okay.
That's what it says.
And these are the same ones that he
And these
handed
are
out.
water and sewer?
Yep.
Okay. So I must have them in here somewhere.
Yeah, they're in the papers, the whole.
It's in the packet.
Is it in the packet now too? Cause I think I left it here.
Yeah, it's in the packet too.
No, it's in, they sent that in now.
It isn't all pretty colors, it's black and white.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can certainly have him come in to
Oh,
the
yeah.
September
Oh,
meeting,
that's even smaller.
Yeah,
talk
that's
a
right,
little
I
bit more,
read that.
answer any more questions you might have,
And nobody leaves until it's done.
present that
Yep.
schedule,
And
Got
big,
it.
big print.
big print.
Larger,
Yeah.
is
Okay.
Okay. Stormwater asset management plan, again, there is a lot of work that needs to be done on the stormwater system in the village. There is no money to pay for any stormwater improvements in the village, because there's no way to get money other than using your Act 51 streets money or the general fund. So that's why, Mr. Wendling was here today to talk about, the county drain and things that need to happen through his office. We were asked to do an estimate for the village office parking lot and drainage. We met with Don and, looked at what could happen since AKT Peerless is gonna be in doing the work on the corner of the parking lot, replacing a portion of the parking lot. They thought that it might be good to spruce up the front of the building here and you replace some of the pavement, it's in pretty rough shape, and then possibly even do the parking lot in the back. So we did put an estimate together that was basically everything that Don and the DPW guys wanted to get done in the area. And our thought was, once we know what the extent of AKT Peerless is gonna be, we could figure out what grant funds are left and pick and choose what we wanna do out front to spruce it up and to address some of the drainage issues that are going on around the building. So the estimate we have was pretty high.
Simply sounds.
But again, it was kind of one of those à la carte things where you can kind of pick and choose what you wanna do. So, I don't think we need any action on that tonight, do we, Dennis?
No.
Well, no?
That
Well,
wasn't.
we don't know anything yet, do we?
Yeah, until they start digging and find out where they
Right.
start and stop, it's
We
gonna
don't-
be.
We don't know
Yeah,
what.
we can't,
I
we
just
can't make a
wanted to-
decision on that until they break ground.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit tired
But
of waiting for them to
on
come
the,
up.
really, I think Don and I looked at this in some detail, and, I think probably all we're gonna be able to afford to do is the front. And we thought we'd do the landscaping and removal and replacement, and, we'd keep the flagpole and paint it, and, that cut 10,000-12,000 out of that. We might be close into having what's left in the grant. If we don't end up using it, because it's spread further than we thought it was gonna, and,
Okay,
yeah, till we get there, we
Are
don't
they only
know.
doing a corner of that, of that parking lot over there? AKT Peerless is just taking out the back, like,
Just where it's bad.
border?
Just where it's bad, just in the corner
Okay,
over
just in the
there,
corner.
where it's bad.
So we would have to remove the rest of it under this other proposal,
Correct.
and then come around the front.
And we just
Why?
don't know where those lines are gonna be, so.
And we wanna use all the grant money that's available.
Yes,
Yeah.
Right.
so,
but this front's gotta be fixed,
Yeah,
don't you think?
Oh, I think it does, I think, but I think we can't make a decision until we
No.
know.
Well, no, but even if we have
exactly-
to use some other money from
Yeah.
somewhere
Oh,
else, we gotta
definitely.
fix
Yeah.
that front.
Yeah, so we
the
can
back,
actually
I
carpet
think,
the room in.
I think the
The
back, we
back's
could do a
not that old.
slurry seal or do a
Do it
chip and
again.
seal on the back to
Yeah.
seal it up,
Just chip and seal the back,
Or
'cause
something.
really, people don't use it that much,
and that's fairly reasonable.
Mhm.
yeah.
So they're starting Monday on the
Yes.
cleanup, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we get just for nostalgia, can we have somebody snap some pictures before and then during and then after it's done, just so we can see?
Yeah.
I just wanna,
Use a hamburger.
yeah,
I can go up
Why
and take
did you
pictures smart
snap
enough
it?
on.
yeah, thank you.
Field trip.
Just for comparison.
The other thing we have in our report is, we were asked to do an estimate to replace the water main on Fulton Street and Hosmer Street. It's the areas where we've had, I think we've had 5 or 6 breaks this year in that area. And I was just talking to Don here, and you've got another one that's going on as we speak. So it's a really bad area. It's an area that we've targeted for the first real water main improvement project. We do have an estimate put together for that. And it's up for your consideration. If you wanna get us going on it, we can get going on it. If you wanna wait a month or two, we can wait a month or two. The water main's very bad.
This is not the 3 million cut.
No, no,
It's
no.
not
I got it all.
right, the one,
I got this
It's
all.
a-
Fulton.
Fulton.
I
Fulton to
already
Flint.
had that in there.
Right?
Yeah.
This one's the Clinton to Flint.
Yeah.
It is the detailed estimate that we put together.
That's back someplace else.
Again, Don and I reviewed these, spent quite a bit of time on it. There is about, again, I forget, $10,000 or so in their street repair. We don't wanna do any street repair other than gravel it back.
At this time.
At this time. There is a rubber tire blacktop grant available that typically comes out in September.
Yep.
And if it does, we thought we would apply for that and
Yeah.
use tax money,
Yep.
road tax money for the match. If it doesn't, then we'll have to use the road tax money then to
Yep.
replace the 4 blocks, but,
Yep.
so the 162 gets down to about 150, or the 260 gets down to about 245 or something, but it's, it needs to be done. They're gonna be working
45,000?
200.
260 some thousand.
Yeah.
But
Is a real number.
The rubberized asphalt grants, they come out every year. They are competitive grants. And the rubberized asphalt, they actually take scrap tires, grind them up, put it in the asphalt mix, and they, use that to pave roads. It's kind of a, not as good of a mix, but if you can get grant money to do it.
Right.
And replace a road that's really, really bad.
Yeah.
And it's not heavy traffic over there.
Right, so I think this would be a really good candidate to go after something like that and try to get some grant money.
And what's the grant match?
I think it's about 50%.
Is it 50%?
I was thinking it was 25, but it could be 50.
I don't know, I just found it in here somewhere.
We'll have the detail when it comes out next,
So it's
hopefully next
82,160 for the water?
Oh, let me try to get the right ones together here.
It's,
Wait a minute, I
for
see
Fulton
that.
Street, from Clinton to Flint,
Yeah.
it's, about 102.
260 altogether. And then that's counting the back blacktop patch, so it'll go down to about 245 probably if we,
So,
patch.
we're,
Okay, so just this little thing in here is the drive and sidewalk repair,
Yeah,
so it's only $4,000?
That,
No, that
that's,
can't be right.
that's only for the area that would be over the water main, where the water main would be cutting across the road.
Okay,
That's
so
just
this
patching.
is, this doesn't include any
this-
paving
this
at
es-
all?
This estimate does
Wow.
not include repairing, replacing the road.
This
O-
one.
Only where the water main would
Yeah.
cross the road.
So we're back to 260.
no, there's some others in there, some other
There's,
blacktop in there,
there's some
9,000
other
somewhere.
things that could be cut out, and when we bid this project, hopefully the prices come back, you know, a lot less. You know, if we're bidding this in December, January, you know, for construction early next year, hopefully we can get better prices. So,
So without that, with just the gravel, the temporary right now, what are we looking at? What's
probably about 245.
240? All right.
And hopefully we get better prices that.
And that has to be done.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's,
There's.
I know,
We
but
can't let
where are
that
you
go through
people
the
gonna
winter.
get this money from? Where's the?
This
money
is the
coming
one,
from?
No, I'm
this
just
is the one
asking.
that the financial guy recommended borrowing from sanitary sewer funds.
And then paying it back with the US.
And I'm recommending, I think you got enough, you can use about half of it out of water and only borrow half from sewer fund maybe, so.
Okay. Why can't I find that piece of paper?
Which one?
Oh, just the
think that one's in
financial
there.
statement.
We've got that much on the water.
Where's the thing?
It's down
You got
deeper, it's down deeper than normal.
The financial statement?
Oh, here's just the, we haven't even done the council.
Look in your
Got
office.
it, got it, got it.
Good.
Okay. So we got 365 in water,
No,
and sewer's got 5. Oh, okay,
no, we've got it out here. We need that.
okay, I think we should do that.
I think so too. I'd recommend that you do it tonight and let them get going on it.
Yep.
Let's do it tonight.
Well, I'll make a motion that we, go ahead with this project, but not with the, road part of it. We're gonna hold
Right,
off on
right,
that. a
right.
little bit.
with just the temporary road.
I'll
With
second.
just the one
The
that's
gravel.
there.
Yeah.
Support,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's carried,
Okay.
and they'll be starting tomorrow, right?
No.
Well, actually, Dennis wants to talk about this.
Also
You
in
have it
our,
all ready to go?
also in our report, we have the phase 1 and phase 2 improvements that we had talked about before. Since we're doing this other portion earlier, it comes out of that 2 million that we had looked at for the phase 1. So we might wanna look at putting some of the phase 2 projects into the phase 1, and I think Don and Dennis have some ideas on some
Get your pen
projects.
ready.
Some projects we can move in. And again, you know, the water main capital improvement plan was to,
Oh, here's
you do
this
about a $2 million bond project in 2022, 2023. And then possibly another one 5 to 10 years later.
Take these two sheets right here.
Yep.
Got him.
So those are the phase 1 and the phase 2 projects that we've been talking about, and you should also have a map.
Which is
You
just
should also have a
dreadful
map.
in our copy.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was just dreadful.
Division 1,
Right here.
Chesning J to Sanderson. 135,000.
Division I, yep.
HI,
On, he wants to move it from phase 2 to phase 1.
move that over to, yeah, phase 1.
What do you wanna move?
Well, now, wait a minute. Division I is West Bell to Cole Street to Kerr.
No, he's talking about the phase 2 division.
Phase 2?
Phase
Yeah.
2 division I
Okay, number I.
is Chestnut Street.
135.
Okay.
Move that over. And then go down to Division M. At 300,000, from Cole to Fulton.
Hosmer Street.
These are in the same areas that we got all the other issues that we're
Okay.
working on. Move that over, and that puts us back to the 2,196,000.
But this says 1,761,000.
Well,
You gotta add those two to it,
Well, I know, why are we going up higher?
to get this big one down and get this back where we had it.
Cause this
Okay.
is gonna be 2 million.
So you took out the other one already?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah, the others are out, that's why it's
Gotcha.
down.
gotcha.
yeah, we were targeting about a $2 million project in the capital improvement plan.
So the 135 and the 300,000.
And then that leaves, the other sheet, instead of 3.494 million, gets it down to 3,069,000.
Those are just horrible figures.
Aren't they?
I don't even know how to write them. 69, okay.
And just for your information, I was looking up the existing water main that's on Fulton and Hosmer right now. That was installed in 1939.
And then most of that in phase one is about that same
Yep.
vintage.
All that cast iron pipe that we've been talking about was installed around 1939.
You know, one of my concerns, and I have to voice this, is that we did not test, you know, when you did your testing, we didn't test every system in town, you know, I mean, we tested
Right.
select areas. And I guess my question is, what else is out there that's really bad that we don't know about?
Well, we know from the as-built plans what the material is, what the age is. You know, unless we dig it up and take a look at it, there really is no way to know what the condition of it is.
So we just wait for failure, huh?
Well, I mean,
Well,
you
you know
can
where they
make
are.
a pretty
I
good
mean-
guess by the age and the material.
Right. We know that,
We
we
know
know that,
some
we know that
great
cast iron
examples.
water pipes that are more than 50 years old
Okay.
are very susceptible to breaks, and it's generally bad pipe. And so that's what we've been targeting in this first round, was all those old cast iron water mains.
Yeah.
Did you
and-
say
and
that?
If you work here for 30 years, you know where all the breaks were, and they consistently seem to be in the same places over and over again.
And that's
So,
the age of that pipe is
Yeah.
what you're looking at.
Did you say that Sunview was cast iron?
No.
No.
no, it's a sewer on Sunview that's bad.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Well, the water main on Sunview isn't that
Oh,
great either.
it's on this list too.
Was that transite?
That's a phase two
Was
Was that
project.
transite?
I think some of it is, some of it's cast, but I think we need to look at that. We'll have to look at that closer on phase two probably to see what. I'm not sure how many issues they've had down there
On Sunview?
for the water.
I just know my daughter complains about there not being much water pressure down there. But I don't have it either, so I told her to forget about it. Unless Dennis could talk that nice lady at the end and let us loop it.
Well, then it'd be
might
everybody
be
wanting
better
your
at it than
neighborhood
me.
done, you know, come on.
No, that needs to be looped, it's two dead ends.
So, the streets
Oh, this
asset
is probably
management
good,
plan,
too.
we are continuing to move forward. Again, we have all the streets rated. As you guessed, most of the streets in the village were rated pretty poor. So we're continuing to look at the asset management plan, looking at the other wastewater, water, storm asset management plans, and we're gonna come up with a plan to help you out with the streets also. So, we certainly don't wanna repair a street over here and then come back 2 years later and tear it up with the water project. So, as we're doing these other infrastructure improvements, we wanna look at the other utilities also. So, that's our long-term goal. So, with that, if you have
Do you
any
need,
questions?
do you need approval of the smaller project so you can work that into the rural development
Nope,
project you're doing?
nope,
Just a consensus?
yep.
So the design just needs to be approved, is that?
Well, I think the design's already been approved. I think that's what.
I thought we just approved you applying for the rural development.
Well, that was last month.
Yeah.
And we are working on the USDA grant application. But I think you just approved going forward with the small water main project.
The small one, but not the 2 million.
Oh, those the phase one and the phase two projects, we will eventually need a resolution from the council. But once we get a little bit further along in that USDA grant application process,
you will bring that forward to you, so you have all the right.
This is not
all the right
necessary for the
paperwork.
stuff we're doing for the state, all these required things.
No,
This
no.
is something that we're doing ourselves.
this is your long-term capital improvement plan for the
Okay.
water system. Yep.
Any new information from the state on the lead?
No,
Nothing, they're just staying where they were?
no,
I think we lost the court case.
Lost.
There
Court
was a ruling that went against the communities in Detroit that said that, you know, they did not have authorization to work on water services on private property. The state said that they must replace those lead lines on private property.
I saw that.
Yep, so the.
I'm sure it's gonna
communities-
be appealed,
The
but
communities lost that in court.
Well, it'll be appealed, I'm sure.
Yep. So right now, as a part of our preliminary distribution system materials inventory, we are looking at, you know, inventorying the water services. You know, if there's anything that is found to be lead, there is a protocol to notify the residents. I believe it's, you know, within a certain amount of days, the resident has to be notified, and there has to be an action happening, you know, within a certain amount of days also. So, as of right now, we have not found any lead in the system. We have found some galvanized in the past. And galvanized is considered to be lead by the DEQ if it is or ever was connected to a lead gooseneck or a lead pigtail that was on the service lines. A lot of times, the galvanized pipes would use lead at the ends to make the connections. But we have not found any of that in St. Charles in the past.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then
Thank
probably
you, Tim.
if we were to do both of these phases, you would probably eliminate the possibility of any lead, because you get rid of all the cast iron.
Right, they did not use galvanized or lead services on AC pipe. It's just on the cast iron.
Okay.
So if there's no more questions,
I don't believe so.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Next item is the fiscal year 2018 to 19 audit review.
You're up.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Ken Berthium with Berthium and Company, CPAs. Okay. I'm pleased to be here to present the audited financial statements for the fiscal year ended March 31st, 2019. The audit this year again went smooth. No problems, difficulties, or differences were encountered. We received excellent help and cooperation from the village staff. No problem. Based on our audit, we were able to render the standard unmodified opinion on the financial statements. You see that here on page 1 and 2 of the report that you may have in front of you or available. Okay. On page 2 of the report, the opinion, you may have noticed we have a paragraph there. It's called change in accounting principle and emphasis of a matter. What that is referring to is the fact that we wanted to bring to the attention of the reader of this financial statement and you that GASB statement number 75 was implemented last year, which means that we were required to include the full unfunded liability for that OPEB. And that added quite a bit amount in there, as we'll see as we go through here. Okay. I'd just like to briefly review the report with you. I'll be very brief on this. I'm starting on page 7. On this page, we see it's in the MD&A, in the management discussion and analysis section, on page 7. You see here we have a statement of activities or a statement of the changes in net position for the year. When I was looking at this today, I noted that the regular revenues and expenses for the current year are comparable or similar to the prior year, such as property tax revenue. Your total property tax revenue last year was about 505,000 compared to about 500,000, a little bit of an increase. Unrestricted grant revenue there under governmental activities, that's your other major source of revenue, was 307,000 approximately, compared to 304. So very comparable, very consistent. Two notable differences in the current year's activity that I saw here was under special items under the governmental activities for 2019, you'll see transfer from component unit, LDFA to the village. It's down there in the left-hand side of that page. It was 776,000 total assets that were transferred from the LDFA. That consisted of mostly capital assets, the infrastructure improvements that were done at the industrial park, plus a little bit of cash, about 21,000 from there. Okay. The other notable item or difference this year was the fact that we have an asterisk there on the starting net position for the year. That was changed because of that GASB 75 implementation, where we added the OPEB liability. That added a liability of approximately $988,000 to the balance sheet of the village, the overall full accrual balance sheet. And so that their disclosure is made there on that page. Okay, needed to be there. On page 10 of the report, here you see your statement of net position as of March 31st, 2019. Here, one of the things that's noticeable there is the fact that your governmental activities column, that's first column of numbers, shows a deficit in the unrestricted net position of $1,714,000 approximately. And the reason for that is that the full unfunded OPEB liability is in there, as I said, in addition to the full unfunded liability for pension. You know, that's all in there now. In the old days, that was kind of off on the side. Nobody really knew what those liabilities were exactly. It wasn't presented this way. Now it's there. We know.
And I think we have a plan to try to make that up as we go along, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We do, we did that.
Yes. These liabilities, these pension and OPEB, they're long-term liabilities. As you said, you have a plan. You are making your annual required payments into the pension plan, which MERS controls, you know, the assets and things. They tell you how much money you need to put into the plan in order to fund it, in order to make the benefit payments to the retirees. No problem, you know, you've done what you're supposed to do. And also last year, you did start putting some money away for that OPEB liability. There was a $90,000 payment into a trust fund, which is in the report. So you're chipping away at that liability now too. Of course, those payments have to come out of your current budget, so you have to build it into your process here. On that OPEB liability, that involved a report that you got from a firm, Watkins Ross Actuaries. They did a fine job on that, which, you know, we reviewed their report, you know, for accuracy and correctness and so forth. Overall, I mean, we're not mathematicians like they are, but everything looked correct. You know? Yeah. On page 13 of the report, here we have the governmental funds balance sheets. This is a modified accrual basis of accounting, different than the statement we were just looking at, which is full accrual. Here we're talking about just a review of and a look at your current available resources in your governmental activities. Under that basis of accounting, the funds look great. You have no deficits showing there. Okay. The general fund balance at the end of the year came in at $822,000. You can see that right there. and the other funds as well have positive fund balances. On page 15 of the report, here we have this continuation of the governmental funds, the activity for the year, and those funds, it shows that the general fund was able to add 92,000 to its fund balance. It had revenues of 950,000, expenditures of 878. We had that $21,000 transfer from LDFA, so that resulted in a $90,000 increase in your fund balance, which is good. Okay. One thing that we learned as we were working on the audit was when you were looking at that LDFA transaction and what happened to all that, all the money basically there was spent on that infrastructure, and there was some money transferred to the village. I made some inquiries to the village manager about, well, did the village end up with some property out there and so forth? And he said, yeah, the village ended up with 5 lots. There's some in the EDC, like 2 or 3 in the EDC, and 2 or 3 in the village, general. So village, I guess you probably knew about this, right? Okay. So you got 5 lots there. Now, when we recorded that LDFA transfer of those assets, we've got those, they're built into your statement of net position as capital, infrastructure capital assets. But those lots, the cost of those lots would be in that number somewhere. But one thing, I know that there was some mention of the EDC now becoming activated, I guess, so to speak, because you had an EDC entity, it'd be a component or unit for a long time, but it just wasn't being used. But now, the EDC will own these lots, some of these lots, and it will also be getting cell tower monies in there, right? So, there should be an EDC fund, set up in your computer accounting software somewhere, to account for all of that, going forward. So if you sell those lots, I guess the money, those EDC lots, the money would go in there. The general fund lots that are held, if those get sold, I guess that would end up in general. But it'd be up to the council to decide, what you want to do with those lots and all that stuff. If you want to keep those as, just how you're going to show that. Some cities or villages and so on that have LDFAs, industrial parks, they end up with an industrial park fund to hold, those kinds of assets, and they'll sell those lots, and they'll have that money in that fund. So, I guess you need to kind of figure that out as you go forward.
Well, I think I can tell you kind of what happened
Okay.
when we put that together. It was Swan Creek and St. Charles, and Swan Creek would not annex into the village, those pieces of property, so it was kind of separated out.
Okay.
But then they did, I got in a huge fight with them over Beaver Road, and I got them to give them back to us. So right now, we'd have been in a mess, because that would have gone back to Swan Creek, all of that land where that boat company is, and the cell tower and all that stuff. But now it's inside the village. So I can see where it looked split at one time, but it's not anymore. It got annexed in. So
Okay.
I guess we could do an EDC and put the tax money in there. But if we do that, then does that just have to be spent there?
And I
Or
don't
can
know
that be
about
then
that.
spent anywhere now
Yeah,
that
we'll
we're
have to
done
look-
with the
we'll have to look at
LDFA?
that, I think.
Okay,
I don't know.
okay.
Unless maybe maybe the EDC could transfer the lots to the village.
Just back to the village now?
Just get rid of the EDC again, keep it all just.
Because we could now, because it all belongs to us
Yeah.
again, because it still belongs to Swan Creek, but it belongs to us too, so.
Yeah. So that's something to work on,
Okay.
along with the other projects here.
Another thing.
Yeah. Always something. Page 19. Here, on this page, we have the statement of revenues and expenses for the enterprise funds, the sewer and water funds, basically. Those funds, I think, for the second year in a row, are showing operating losses. There's a line there that's, where we you show the operating revenue, operating expense, then a line for the operating loss, income or loss. Water, sewer had lost 2,400, 2,474, and the water loss of 10,607. When we look at that type of situation, we think, well, okay, then appears to be not enough revenue coming in or too much expense. So I heard you talk about you're doing the studies for rates and so forth, so it looks like that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Bump the rates up, because the expenses are going up. The cost of water last year went up. I had it figured out 45.8% of the percent of the sales. In other words, water cost 45%. The year before it was 42%, so cost of water is going up, but you really didn't raise the
We didn't
rates.
raise our rates.
So you got kind of whammy there.
I think we're gonna fix that now.
Yeah, so, no, that's what that reveals, you know, when
Yeah,
I look
I
at
think,
that,
I think
you
you'd
see
like the fix.
what you got. These two funds, sewer and water, they have combined cash balances over $1 million. So some negative cash flow, of course, can be handled and absorbed right now. The funds do, however, show on the balance sheet liability for that OPEB and pension of approximately $800,000. You know, so yeah, you got $1 million, but you have $800,000 liability just for the pension liability. You have no other long-term debt right now as it stands in these enterprise funds, so that's
We're
good.
gonna fix that too.
Yeah.
Some of us are not happy about that.
I know it's gonna be all different. So, I think the financial picture kind of fits into the plan that I overheard tonight, is the fact that you know about these things and we're working on it. Okay. One thing, final, page 60, I just wanted to bring to your attention. Here, this page is concerning the component units. Here we have two columns, one for the DDA, one for the LDFA. That column there for the LDFA, you can see what happened last year. You had captured a little tax revenue, 40,000, but you spent a bunch of money. You spent all the money basically. Capital outlay expense was 661,000, so I guess that was a road and some other things out there. And then what was left was 21,000, and that was sent to the general fund, and that left you with zero. LDFA is off the books now, basically. Okay, that's good. So, very good. So that concludes my report, and I want to thank you again for allowing me to work as village auditor, and I welcome any further questions.
No, it'll just be different next year.
Yes.
Thank you.
Keep it interesting.
Or 2 years from now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
You should probably have a motion to accept and place on file, I would think.
Oh, I make a motion to accept and file the financial statements for 2019.
I'll
Support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So passed. Council minutes approval from July 10th. Any questions or corrections? If none, go ahead and file.
I make a motion we accept the minutes of July 10th, 2019 as presented.
You need to approve those. Those are our minutes. You said accept.
Oh, approved, sorry,
Okay.
approved.
Second.
Support?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Commission and committee reports, DDA minutes, July 11th. First,
Have a question on that one. The false front that needs to be painted, did we talk about that before?
No, they have.
They have? Okay. Are we gonna have that? Is that something that they're gonna do?
Well, we talked, I think they talked about making it a park, we talked about making it a park. Now it looks like they just wanna get it repainted.
The DPW has a work order to do some trimming and fixing and to get us through the year.
Okay.
And then they have some other thoughts.
Okay.
And then along with that, when I, talking about the trees, the brush along the bridge, can we trim that? Is that ours, or do we have to get,
It's not ours, but we do try.
you know where the trees, they're almost trees now, coming up, right next to
We
the,
try to do it in the winter when the ice is on, cause
yeah,
it's such a steep bank,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier. to
All right.
get to it. We did some last year.
I know.
before the thaw, so it's a lot easier coming from the river up.
yeah, they're just getting big now, yeah.
It's really MDOT's, but unless it's a
You
obstruction.
talking the first
It
bridge
just
or all
looks
of them?
bad.
All of them, but the one that I noticed was right down here, right down by the
South
DNR,
Branch,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, if we don't do it, it won't get done.
I know.
It's through the-
Yeah, I know we've done that before.
I have to say the flowers look much better this year. I don't know who's taking care of them, but
They do.
they're doing a much better job than last year.
And the hams are
Well, there's
done?
more of
Yeah,
them, too.
yeah, you had four young ladies
Yeah,
that
it's did it
worked
too.
really hard to
Yeah,
keep
and
them.
somebody's watering. Are you watering the front of the
We're
park?
watering. yeah.
Okay, 'cause I saw the water running.
I had a question for where, excuse me, are the M52 banner poles going to go?
Me and Dennis actually took a ride to kind of get an idea, but right now we're just in getting the cost phase of it right now, so.
Okay, so you don't have,
We got a general idea, but we didn't put any stakes there, so you go on.
so you're talking about putting a sign across the road?
You know
is
where they
that-
hang
yeah,
the sign,
right.
they want different poles to hang them from.
Okay,
The poles aren't strong enough, and there's a lot of electricity up there that the guys would have to fight around, and I don't wanna see somebody get electrocuted.
When they do the poles, are we putting the cables up too?
Yeah,
No,
Somebody
the
is.
cable for the, across the road or the
For
cable
the
is.
cables across the road for the signs?
yeah.
Or, yeah, it would be all, but they're
Yeah.
not gonna have guide wires on them, that would be.
That's cement.
Standalone poles,
Cause somebody in the front yard don't want a guide wire
No.
and all that kind of stuff.
just have to put them a little deeper.
Well, they actually recommend concreting that actually. so.
If you know where the other cable line was on the north, it's
Mhm.
about 40-50 feet north of that.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, by
We got a
Diane's.
price,
By
we got a
Diane's.
price for the banners. But they did two-sided, I don't see a reason for two-sided, but that's up to the DDA to make that decision, but.
it gets paid for out of their money, right?
Yeah.
Travel both ways, so.
Come
True.
local.
Yeah, especially if we don't have nothing out there this year,
Yeah.
on the south end.
So right now, we're just working on getting a price for the poles and then talking to MDOT and see what permit requirements they have and that kind of stuff.
All right,
Okay.
keep us in the loop.
I'll make a motion, we accept the DDA minutes
I'll second it.
of both of them.
Except.
File, accept and file.
Supported, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Now the ones for the August 2nd meeting.
I thought we did.
Oh, I
both
do
of those.
both of them together.
Oh, okay. So done. Good job, you got that first page. Payment of claims. Hello, Diane.
Question?
On page 3, on the Visa statement, lumber for Waterfall Park, $1,505 is,
I'd like you all to circle that number and keep it in front of you.
The 1,500? Is that for the pergola?
Why, because we found it?
No.
It comes into play.
It comes into play in a minute.
Okay.
In other words, there's more to the story.
well,
Rest of the stuff.
okay.
So what do you want about it?
I just wondered, was that for the pergola?
It was, yes, lumber
Yeah.
purchased for
Yeah.
that.
But it could change, who knows?
They could, you never know.
Yeah, we might need something worse. Okay, that's all the questions I had.
Oh, I have some.
Really?
On page 4, I'm looking specifically at our legal fees, and I know we have to pay them. I'm more concerned about anything, the Massoud firm. We don't have any information on what's going on with those issues. Is there some way that we can get an update from you? I know what it's for,
Yes,
but we have not been updated on that
when we go into
whatsoever.
closed session, you will be updated.
Is that something that our police committee should look at first? You know, we're gonna do that at closed session too then? Okay, all right. All right, that answers my question.
Anything else?
Actually, yeah, on page 6, I just wanna make a comment, that mediation, resolution that we paid for, we never ever received a report from them. I don't want us ever to use them again, period. End
They
of
won't
statement.
provide one,
Yeah, that's,
other than there was no results given.
right, that's just not
Oh,
acceptable
They
to me.
didn't have
In
a
other words,
report
there's
or
money
results.
thrown down the.
Yeah.
But you're just making a statement.
I'm making a statement
Yeah.
about that I want, that, you know.
We're
I
not
don't-
doing that anymore.
No,
So we threw away some money.
yes,
Mhm.
It's too bad.
and we didn't decide to do it, so that, I mean, but it's
That's
anyway,
water under the bridge.
it is,
Yes.
just never again.
If there are no other questions, I make a motion to pay the bills in the sum of $89,283.64.
Support,
Support.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Bills are paid. Carried. New business. Water tower inspection proposal.
In your packet was 2 bids for doing inspection of the towers. And at last meeting, we suggested we get this done so that if it does need repaired, we can work it in with our water project, bond issue project. And Nelson Tank was the low bidder in the amount of $2,900 on page, I think it's 3 or 4, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's for the robots to go in, so Don don't have to go in scuba diving.
I think John should go in. Looks like we save about $300, $600.
Yeah,
This way we do not have to shut it down and make the system
Okay.
angry.
How big's that opening in there?
Have you dealt with them before?
yes,
Carlson?
yes, I
And
have,
you're reputable and?
yes,
I heard you ask John, and he said either one would be fine.
both of them are good.
They actually done your last inspection.
They did?
Oh, did they?
Both
Cause Dixon did one, I know.
Both firms, you have hired the best,
Okay.
Nelson done the last
I
one.
just don't like their contractors, that's my issue, but,
And the report they give did look pretty good. The other last ones.
And could these same people look at the old water tower to see if it's structurally sound, or they're not gonna, do we not need to do that?
We're just gonna leave it like it is, you guys
Okay.
like that landmark, just leave her there.
Yep.
Just let it fall when it falls.
Yep.
I don't live in the house anymore.
Yeah. It used to be his house, he'd care, now he doesn't.
Oh, okay.
I used to wash the side of the, east side of the house every year. It flooded it.
Don, are you familiar with this ROV thing? Is this the first time we've used that or
No,
not?
they used that in the past too, the last time they used it, just a little submersible you put down in it.
They don't have to drain the tank or anything like that?
That's the big advantage right there, we don't have to take it offline to.
Then you don't have all the surges in water that break the
Right.
lines. I make a motion we accept Nelson Tank Engineering for $2,900
I'll
I'll
support.
support.
for the tower thing.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Oh.
Roof bids.
We received 2 rough bids on the pavilion in the park. And they were much higher than our budgeted amount,
What did we exactly have budgeted for that?
$35,000.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the
And-
expensive.
the project definitely needs to be done, and I would suggest that we store the $1,500 worth of lumber for the park project over here, and we had 10,000 budgeted for that, we could add that 85 to the 35, and we're within about $1,400, which we could take out of routine maintenance, I believe,
From
to
Banning?
complete that project.
Is that Banning's quote?
Mike Banning Construction.
Yeah,
Banning was 44.
44, yeah. that-
This guy didn't even put his address on here, really.
No, you know.
You know,
he didn't,
14390 St. Charles, Michigan is not real helpful.
I think that's a
Was
good
it Dave
idea,
Jabbar?
Dennis, because we do need that raw.
Yeah,
I'm
so,
sorry.
Was that Dave Jabbar?
No, this-
Yeah,
No,
This is
but
one
this
low
one
bid.
here,
this is
Yeah.
Dave DeBarge.
that's
Yeah.
Dave Jabbar.
Oh, okay.
so you're not intending to include the dugouts then?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, just have to be sure I.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
not
quite
in it.
crazy.
No, that's separate, that was like $8,000.
Yeah, another $8,000
Yeah, we don't,
for dugouts.
yeah,
That's because we're doing steel.
Any other
What do you
discussion on
think,
this?
John?
It's gotta be done.
Okay.
Don, you're happy with this, or?
I'm not
Well, it's
happy-
gotta be
I'm not
done.
happy with the price.
No, not at all.
No, but I mean, yeah.
that's pretty good for a
It's-
50-year-old.
It'll be forever.
Pavilion.
Yeah, I mean, if you do it this way, that's tearing it right down to the steel girders and everything will be brand new and
It's really bad.
it's
It's
bad.
bad.
It's seen its life.
It's
Yeah.
bad,
It
it's
has.
usable life. And it doesn't look very good.
So
No.
we're not gonna do anything with the waterfowl park. We're gonna store the lumber,
We'll amend the budget, and move the balance into.
okay, and then we'll just be a little bit short,
Yeah, and we'll take out a routine maintenance.
okay.
And that won't harm anything to not do that
Mm-mm.
pergola thing over there.
No, we have it all stored inside, so. We'll be there next year.
Okay.
Well, we need that roof worse than we need a pergola.
Your motion to accept Banning,
I make a motion.
I'll
Also-
second it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And make sure it's banning just for the
Just the roof.
pavilion.
Yes, the
Yep.
pavilion. Should that be in the motion or not?
She could put it there.
Yeah.
Got it?
Good idea.
Good,
Good idea.
very good.
Website proposal,
Before you use a quote to redevelop the website on our computers. Right now, the existing one is not user-friendly, and very little backup to fix it or anything.
Yeah, I've had issues with the website. The gentleman that set it up for us, when I try to contact him for it having issues, like we're supposed to be able to put our water quality report on there, and it's right now to the point where it needs to be on the front page. I can't edit the front page. I've contacted him multiple times. He says, oh, I'll help you. And he's not gotten back with me. I have a hard time every, month trying to get the agendas on the website and trying to get the minutes and stuff like that. Like, it's getting to the point, cause the way that the editor is, I have to move everything down to the bottom, and if you just move your mouse quickly, it goes away. And so it looks terrible because I put the summary up until you guys approve the full minutes. I can't remove the summary anymore, so the summary's up there, the full minutes are up there, and then to add the audio, we have to go out, we have to make a video on Video Editor, which takes a while because it has to upload. Then I have to upload it to YouTube, and then I have to take it to YouTube and try to put it on our website, and that's like an hour and a half of just waiting around trying to get it to process and stuff like that. Where this gentleman from Peak Performance, Don had used him in the past. Their website, it was Spalding Township, and was it Tamath was the other
He's
one?
done Tamath, and I believe he's done Swan Creeks also.
I went out to their websites and they're actually laid out nice where it's easy to get to, and the editor that they use is like Microsoft Word.
Oh.
And this is, it's WordPress, and, it's easy to get in there and to maneuver and stuff like that, cause I told them the issues I have with SiteCake is who we use now, and, he had said, yeah, people use that one, but it's not an easy one to use, so it's pretty frustrating, and I know people call, try to get information and stuff like that, and I have to try to tell them where to go, so to like put our roof bids on there, I had to put it under park, but it's not really a good spot to put it. Like our job posting, there's not really good spots to put anything the way it's laid out, and I'm kinda restricted to what I can do, and
We-
trying to put links on there, it's not working.
So
We
this
don't,
will
we don't
change
have
the
a
appearance.
contract with the current guy,
Yeah.
do we?
What was that?
We don't have a contract or nothing with the current people?
No, it was just like a one-time fee that was,
Hand type deal.
yeah,
Is this just a one-time?
yes, yep, and that includes training and stuff like that.
The other thing we really need to do is we need to get the industrial park lots on it, we need to get the empty
The ones that are
spot-
for
em-
sale and stuff?
Yeah, and the empty spots in the rental building, and
Okay.
we just, it's just so hard with what we got to do anything, it's,
Okay. Well, don't we have a computer fund thing somewhere?
we have
for-
contracted services in the general office.
Okay.
Will this fit in that budget?
Oh, yeah.
Rest of us are cool.
Yeah.
I did look, as I was looking at the website, thinking about it when I saw this in the packet, I did notice an error in there, all right? When you click up in the council members, my name is in there twice,
Okay,
and Diane's is not at all, okay? So I'm just assuming that was a clerical error in there, unless you can't switch it around. But yeah, I don't care for that, I never have really cared for the appearance of that website, you know, if you're looking on there. So if they'll give us a kind of a better appearance for people that wanna check on there too.
yeah, there's all sorts of glitches, like you try to save something and it doesn't save, and it's been a nightmare since we got it last year.
People use that now for everything. and
Right.
If you
They
don't
do.
have a good system, you're
Right.
losing stuff.
Right.
guess
You
you-
shouldn't be losing.
Have to call them again too, cause it shows that this estimate's expired. It expired the 8th.
Oh, yep, I had
Yeah.
told him our meeting
Yeah.
would be the 14th,
Yeah,
and
he
he
So
said,
it'll be
yeah,
the
just
same
get
one?
back with them,
Yeah.
yeah.
He did say it would stay the same?
Yeah, and he said it might be less actually than this, it just depends on how much work when he starts the clock of building it. So this was the maximum, so it could be even less than what this is.
Okay.
Your motion to, change over to peak performance?
I'll make a motion to change to peak performance.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Christmas parade.
We had our meeting last night that, at least for me, was the first of the year. I don't know if they met before or not, but we had a very good turnout. I think everything is under motion now for the Christmas lighting, who Marie has graciously agreed to take over with a little help. And, we talked Spicer Engineering into sponsoring that night financially.
Big
so-
sponsoring?
Yes,
Good.
so,
Happy with the money?
she's
Oh,
gonna
they,
get.
you don't know yet, it's a
She's
surprise.
gonna get us a number. But we had a good group of people, we had almost DDA, DPW, myself, Marie, Lois, school, Lions Club, help me. Yeah, it was a
really
good
nice.
turnout.
It was really nice last year, I thought.
Fire
The other thing
department,
is
yeah,
it's
fire
so
department was there.
cold, you know, for
It
the
is
remote.
cold.
Did you
It's
get
just so
DDA,
freezing.
Dennis? DDA was there too.
Yep, DDA was there.
It was nice.
Fire department? Good.
So anyhow, we had a good turnout and almost everybody took a piece of the pie to do some work, and we're gonna meet again in September, so I think that's well under motion now, so.
And Marie, you'll keep us advised? Keep us advised if we need to be advised. Cool.
Thank you, Marie.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Resolution 19-2, designation of the street administrator.
I know it's only for a short time, but we
I know.
really need a name there because
Yeah, we
some
do.
things need signed.
Okay, I make a motion, we appoint Dennis Collison as our, street administrator.
I'll second.
So, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That should be a roll call, shouldn't it?
Really?
That should be roll call?
It's a resolution.
Okay.
Lois Tiley,
Yes.
Diana Coots,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Horner,
Yes.
McPhail,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
and Tyler.
Yes.
Let me see, Dennis, I didn't say what. You can skip A. I think we beat it to death.
I do too.
Yeah, okay.
Let's move on to item B then.
No, I guess we covered most of that too.
Yeah, we
did, yeah.
It is starting Monday, and
Yeah,
Don's gonna notify the neighbors behind us tomorrow, so they're aware of it.
Okay.
that'd be good.
Fire department's been notified, so if they wanna move their trucks, they can.
If
So
not,
what-
we'll just take them away.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that this is underway. We've waited too long for this, just way too long.
So,
This is good.
Okay, how about the manager search update?
well, in your packet, I think,
That's the ordinance
is
and contract.
copies of the ordinance and the old existing or old contract, if you will. There's some contracts there and some ordinances from some other villages. I'm ready to get down to a finalist list, but if we're gonna make any changes in the ordinance or contract, you wanna do it before we interview anybody, I think, so we could. I'm not sure that it needs any if we look at it strong, but
We were
I
concerned.
think if we enforce it, we got everything we need in it. You guys maybe can convince me otherwise.
We just need to
Okay.
watch that contract when it gets around
Yeah.
in time. Because there was a significant change between, Howe's contract and, Lane's contract, and I mean, it just, was
Well, and
very
there was a
unhappy.
considerable change between his first contract and
The
his
second
second
too, which
contract.
is bad, so we don't
This is the
really,
second contract. right?
Yeah,
we really don't wanna use those two contracts. So when it comes time, we probably need to talk to Gary Campbell.
I didn't think the second contract was that bad.
Oh, I thought it was terrible.
Why?
I get many issues in there.
Okay.
But, anyway, I do think that we do need to, when we talk to the guy, talk about.
no, I don't know if you guys wanna have a committee to discuss the two, or if you wanna do it as council as a whole, or.
We've done the
It's kinda
committee and
diff-
everybody wants to discuss it anyway, so,
It's kinda difficult to do it
yeah.
in a regular
we-
meeting.
Yeah, instead of a committee, I would say,
Do it as a council as a
Well-
whole, because,
yeah, have a separate meeting.
or we
as a
have a
whole.
separate meeting.
I don't wanna do that, but there's no sense in doing a committee if we're just gonna have
Shoot it
everything we
at.
discussed during a,
Shoot all over
rehash
it.
it at a regular
Can we
meeting.
have the special meeting and look at the applicants at the same time?
I'll see
Yeah.
if that'll work.
If you give me a few days.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it'd be a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind doing that, but I
Yeah,
don't see
not,
the point in a
not for
special.
interviews.
No,
but
not
for-
Oh,
for
you,
okay.
not a committee meeting,
No.
no, because then we all just tear you all apart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
so in 2 weeks,
Sounds good.
the middle of this coming month? maybe?
we're in the middle of the coming months.
Well, it would be
Yes,
the,
we are.
oh, we don't wanna.
What's the first Wednesday we can hit?
In September?
Well, there's next Wednesday, and then the Wednesday after is the Wednesday before, Labor Day.
Yeah.
It's the 28th.
28th.
So you're looking at the 21st or the 28th.
Well, 21st is only 1 week.
It is.
Yeah.
How about the 28th?
Can you make it work?
What's the
You,
date?
you wanna go Tuesday? Is that Tuesday?
Oh, no, I don't care.
I don't care what the day is.
What,
Yeah.
the
I don't
twenty-seventh?
care either.
I don't care what the
No.
day is, I'll just come back for that meeting, and go back up.
So you wanna keep it a Wednesday then? Doesn't matter to me.
Let's make it the 28th.
Okay.
5 o'clock?
August the 28th, right?
What time?
5 o'clock?
Is that good for you too?
Oh.
What's
Yeah,
a
I'll
good-
make sure,
That'll work?
yeah, I can do it.
Earlier?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Last time we did it
4
for
o'clock?
5:30 for you, is that?
No,
good
we can
time
just-
for you,
yeah,
Dennis.
5's fine.
Five's fine?
That-
Yeah.
Five's fine.
That would be good.
Yeah.
28.
So you think you have it pretty well narrowed down?
I think there's gonna be probably at least 5 to interview,
How many applications total?
15, I think.
15?
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's
Some
good.
Pretty good ones, I think.
And you think 5 are down for,
I'd like to get it done less than that, but I think they're so close, a couple of them, that it's probably gonna be 5.
at 5:30?
At 5 p.m.
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Five and a
5
half hour late.
Pull a horn or come 30 minutes late. Okay.
I don't know if you want any other information or not, other than what I've given you today. but- And I'll try to get you the applications ahead of
Yeah,
time.
if we have the
So you can look at it
applications, we
before
can
we
look
get
at
here.
it, yeah.
So we're gonna discuss the ordinance and the contract both at the same time.
Well, you kinda negotiate the contract with the person.
Right.
Yeah, it's just what.
You just need like
a
an
few-
outline of
Yeah,
what you-
what you do and don't like about what we got.
Okay.
Any discussion on item F?
Nope.
We have some
We need to
names
get it
on
done.
some of the accounts at the banks, right?
Yeah,
Need to come out.
Marguerite's just gotten a couple phone calls from the bank accounts. We just need to have it in the minutes that we're gonna remove Matt from the accounts. They are fine with Marguerite just being on there until we get a new village manager, then at that point, cause there's like 14 or 15 accounts and some of them, Matt wasn't even on because they're just hard to get to, but, they just need it in the minutes, just stating that we're removing Matthew Lane from the accounts, and then we can send it to them and they'll remove him.
Are we gonna hold her passport?
Would it be better to do a motion on that then?
Yeah, we have to have a
Yeah.
motion, sorry.
I make a motion, we remove Matt Lane from all financial records,
I'll second.
accounts.
Support?
Aye.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I-
Easy, I voted aye for support.
It's late.
It is.
You're
Motion's
allowed.
carried, motion's carried. Departmental report, DPW report.
I was looking at our expense sheet, a lot of expenses for the DPW, and it's a lot of work getting done, right?
We're trying.
Good job.
I like those lines. The only thing I need that driveway taken out in the parking lot.
We're out of that one. We decided that's a property owner dispute, so.
Oh,
No, we're gonna take it out, but after that, we're out of it.
Yeah, they're right, that's,
We're-
otherwise he's gonna put a fence across there anyways.
They can
You don't
do
want
it,
a fence to
we'll
plow
correct it,
against.
But we're out of it at this point. We're done.
Yeah. He'll have to take it up with the village, the other property
Yeah,
owner.
we talked to Bill and the other guy come out afterwards, we just told him, you guys gotta work it out on your own, it's nothing to do with us.
You have any problems you need to discuss with us?
Not-
Well, he's
Except
laughing.
that one.
No?
No, I don't, you want Dennis bring up that work we're gonna start tomorrow, or?
Tomorrow they got the 6 water main break in that area since I've been here. We're gonna do it at night, so we disturb people as least we can. And we're also gonna try to isolate the, senior center assisted living place so that if we have a break again, we can, no matter where it is, we
They
can
can
feed them one end or the other.
So this is in
at
the same area?
time, So
We're gonna try to install 3 valves and disconnect 1 2-inch.
we're gonna have 2 contractors and us there, so there'll be 3 projects going on at the same time. And get it all done that night.
So then they can get water from either end
Right,
if
so
we
we
have a
can,
break
we can
again.
isolate them if something happens.
I'm
we
sure
would've-
they're appreciating that.
If we would've had this valving arrangement when that emergency happened, we could've still kept it.
We're gonna need it anyway when we do the project.
Okay,
We'll need to be in that mode, so we might as well get it done now, and then it'll protect us this winter if we get breaks on it.
okay.
And there's a leak up by the highway, hopefully if we disconnect this old 2-inch main, that'll cure that and be done
Okay.
with that, so. Hopefully we'll kill 4.
You guys have been really busy.
Yeah.
You've been really busy.
He's getting things done, we like that.
Yes, yes,
I'm
I'll
trying
give
to
you
talk to
that.
him about some other things, but he won't listen, so. He lives too far away.
Okay, police department report?
Who is our new officer?
Julie Church.
I see her name, but.
We'd
where
like
is
to
she
meet
from?
her sometime.
Yeah, be nice to meet her.
Okay, yeah, that could be arranged. She's, used to work at Coleman.
Okay.
Pardon?
Okay, Coleman.
She formerly worked at Coleman, and now she's.
Doing a good job so far.
So far.
Now, she's just part-time, right?
Yep.
We talked about getting a letter of resignation for the full-time position. Did that happen, or?
Haven't gotten that from her yet, and
Oh.
she's been, she hasn't worked since July 3rd,
Okay,
so I'm not sure.
yeah, just,
She says she still works here, but I'm
yeah.
ready to, what do they call it?
We need to
Maybe
do-
we should
we
thank
need to
her.
do something to
We
make
need
the
to
point.
thank her for her service.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, move on.
I think she's keeping us, on the hook until, while she explores, or keeping her options open, maybe.
Yeah,
Which is,
well,
I understand that, but we don't have.
I do too, but I think maybe we should just thank, because she hasn't come to, have you scheduled her at all?
I tried to schedule her in August, she said she was unavailable, and, she's, says she's moving, her father was having a heart transplant, so that plays into it in Texas. So, and she says she's moving back to town, the 26th, and I said, well, I can't wait I'm not gonna hold the schedule for you, and she said, oh, that's okay, just go ahead, and so, I get the impression that she may or may not be back.
Don't
We
you
need
think
a,
we should just
we need a
terminate her?
resignation from the full-time anyway, well, yeah, if she
Yeah.
comes back, so.
I'll call her on that, I'll call her tomorrow and tell her that she's gotta get that in, or she can't come back.
But I don't wanna have one.
No, I'm just like.
We do, oh, we do.
So what do we decide? We would like to see her letter of resignation, or?
Well, we need one for the full-time.
Just she resigned from the full-time position.
Do you think she's still accruing, MERS time? By just sitting out there? No?
No, nope, you have to
That's by
work,
hours worked, right?
correct. You have to work 160 hours if you were hired after a certain date to
Okay.
accrue any, MERS time, so.
Okay.
We're not paying any benefits for her, she's not accruing anything.
Okay.
That's good.
These tickets that were served for, those properties on, Flint Street.
Yeah, that, he has decided to make his front yard a nice mess again, so.
Yeah. And you said we did some tickets on
Yeah,
it.
we should tickets on.
Where does it go from there, though? Obviously, he just thinks we're fooling.
I think we go in and clean it up ourselves, and I don't think he's gonna give him time like he did before, a little bill. I don't know how many days that is, but
We can bill him, and then if he
Whatever you
doesn't pay it, we
stipulate.
throw it on taxes, right?
taxes.
Yeah.
Because both of them are looking, one worse than the other.
Pretty bad again.
And how about the tickets that were done on the, two houses on Bell Avenue? For the burn houses.
I have no idea on that, so I'll talk to him about
Who's,
that.
Well, isn't there a permit here for something?
There's a permit, it's 323
The Bell
Bell,
Trust.
the Bell Trust, J Bell Trust, whatever that is.
That's the rental house there in Irving and Bell.
Irving.
Where?
That apartment.
Oh, that's
Or that.
Oh,
Custom
okay.
Kindles.
Okay, has somebody doing something with that now, or?
He's trying to get it back into code.
Okay.
He's
I
been
know,
at it a
but-
while.
He wasn't close, was he?
No.
We turned the water on and Rob the understanding.
He turned it on?
No, we turned it
Okay.
on, and as far as I know, he pulled all his building permits. So-
Looks like good.
And we made him sign a affidavit stating if the permits were expired or weren't completed by the date, we could shut the water off, so.
Okay.
Are we, at one time, they were asking for a meter for each apartment. Are we still doing that?
He can do that if he wants, but he gets charged for readiness to serve regardless of what
Yep.
water flow meters.
Every meter gets on.
Yeah, if he wants to split them up, he's more than welcome to, but
Um,
if he has one meter, he pays for readiness to serve.
I have another question. It looks like, the Godinia property sold.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Now, that was billed wrong. Have you looked at that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, the property across from McDonald's.
The apartments.
It
The
used
old-
to be,
The old
it
motel.
used to be in a
Oh, okay,
motel.
okay, yeah.
And he turned it into apartments, but nobody ever changed the way he was billed. Do the new people know that they're gonna be billed individually for those apartment ready to serve? Wouldn't they be the same thing
They should be a readiness to serve per.
for
living-
every unit?
But
per
I don't-
living unit, yeah. This is the first I heard that it wasn't being billed, cause we looked, that's why we looked at other properties, me and Marguerite, and other properties are billed, even if they have one meter, but if they have 3 living.
Per unit.
They get paid, get charged 3 readiness to serve.
See, I don't think Goldini's ever was.
We can look at it.
Yeah,
so.
look it up, because I'm pretty sure.
I don't, we never looked at that, though, we looked at some other ones, just
Okay.
to see what the past practice was, so.
200 South Saginaw, where's that at? That ain't the old roof building, is
What's in regard?
200 South Saginaw.
That's the other side of the post office,
Oh, okay.
the house that just sold.
The other side of the post office is the dentist.
No, where the post office is, that, it was that sewing place.
Oh, Fields on,
Field-
okay.
Field-
So that, yeah,
Gotcha.
that building just sold.
Okay.
Right next to the post
The
office.
guy's
Okay.
doing some work on the empty unit.
I see they were working in there. I
He
think.
rented one, didn't he? Or not?
The guy that bought it is supposed to be, he's doing some
What are we
woodworking
doing here?
videos out of it or
See, we
something
got
like that on YouTube.
Did
Is
we?
what Rob had
Yeah,
told
we
us.
did. That's not right on
Heating
the
and
first
cooling,
one.
heating and cooling.
We
What
pulled
are
a
we, what are
permit.
we doing here in the
Heating
building?
and cooling.
That was the uptown where they did the
Oh.
air
Oh, the air
conditioner.
Oh,
Yep,
the
for,
visitor
for
building.
the chiropractic suite.
Yep, 115 South Saginaw.
Oh, yeah, okay. Cause if I read it all, it would help.
Yeah, I'll request. I
Alright.
think that's the most we've made all year in building permit.
Yeah.
I'm working with a lady for a new building, commercial building. We can get it to come through
Where at?
on 52 north.
Oh,
Boys.
by the park.
Huh?
By the park.
No,
Oh, no.
I wish.
Code enforcement report, none. At this time, we need to have a motion to adjourn. go-
No, there's this, what's this Gmail thing in front of us?
Oh, the census thing?
I just wanted to let you know that they're gonna be out visiting every house and doing GIS work and stuff for the census count.
Okay, and the thing on the back doesn't mean anything?
I don't know. Didn't read the back.
The thing on the back is from Saginaw Township.
No, cause he works for GIS.
Yeah, he's.
Okay.
He sent it out to us,
Yeah, it's from Rob Gross.
yeah.
Are they gonna notify the public in advance that this is happening?
They're not going door to door, so
Yeah.
they're not. They're just gonna be out on the sidewalk doing pictures.
There's no
and
door knocking.
videos.
They're gonna be walking streets.
Okay.
But, so if you see people in the neighborhoods walking around looking at houses, you know, they're not casing them, they're counting them,
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty. Any more
My
public
papers
comment?
in the, no, we had the other thing.
Pardon me?
The other
Any more
purpose.
public comment?
They come after me, or the-
Yeah, those are.
Yeah, we're at the end.
No, we have the closed
At
session.
the closed
There's
session.
a closed session,
You gotta go to
Oh,
closed session.
okay.
and then.
Well, you can do the public first if you want, I don't know.
Any further public comments? Yes, Marie,
Maureen Rowe
I
here.
should've worn mine.
I'll stand up.
The reason they don't put a
You
park
better
there
arrest me
beside
if I wore
Tony's is
mine,
because
dump
Tony's
truck.
building is coming apart, so it wouldn't be very safe.
Oh, by
Because
the
the
empty
bricks are-
storefront.
Better
Yeah,
do something, right?
Because the bricks are coming off of Tony's,
Okay.
so the DDA discussed that before about putting a park in there, and that's why they haven't, because the building is coming apart there, it wouldn't be very safe. And, are we gonna get, if she resigns, turns in her resignation paper, will we get another full-time officer?
Not at this time.
Not right now.
We did a motion last time to wait until the new manager
Manager
is
gets here.
hired, and then,
Okay.
And then discuss it at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And now I'm gonna ask you another question. Do we, as a council, keep on an officer that has sued the village?
I feel like we're talking about.
Before
like,
union.
on this one?
No, but now I don't know.
We don't have a union.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
we do have a union.
If the police department has a union?
Yes.
It just,
We don't have a contract.
They still don't have
We
a
don't have a
contract?
contract yet,
But
but they have a union.
they've organized, it's been accepted, I think.
Yes,
But there's no, the police department does not have a union, contract?
We're in negotiations.
but they've been,
Certified or whatever you call
certified,
it.
or they've been,
Voted it
they had a
in.
vote, and they voted to have the union, and that did it right there.
So we have to keep an officer that has sued the village.
I don't know, even if it wasn't an officer in the village, I don't know if you can get rid of somebody because they sue you. as
yeah,
an
that's,
employer.
that falls under the whistleblower statute. I asked that
I don't
question.
think you can. I mean, we can talk to the lawyer, but.
We really don't need to talk about it.
No, we don't.
I'm just asking the question.
I know.
You didn't have to answer it.
I know.
I'm just asking. Just putting it out there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're
That's
welcome.
all I have.
Motion to adjourn into
Any
closed
more
session.
comments?
Any
No
more
more
comments? I didn't see nobody jumping up.
Okay. I make a motion, we close the regular meeting and go into closed session.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Should I further discuss the legal meeting?
Okay.
You gotta turn us on first.
I'll try not to.
Oh, she doesn't have to
Mine's
turn
not
it on.
on.
Oh, she's turning it
There you go.
on. Now you're
I'll
on.
try not to make any long agendas again. I won't guarantee it.
I hear a motion to open the regular meeting.
So moved.
And you,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
go.
Support.
Support? All those in favor?
Aye.